Hello everybody, hello dear students, especially in the 9th grade. I'd like to welcome you here on this platform. I am Miss Iman Al-Qadi. I teach English at Umar ibn al-Khattab School. Today I am going to make a quick coverage for the units 10 and 11. Okay, so as you see here, a quick coverage for units 10 and 11. Let's start now with some definitions. I have chosen some important words from these two units. Number one, a long and difficult journey to discover a new area. Do you remember this word? Let's see the answer. Expedition. Now, number two, a gas that is lighter than air, and it should be hydrogen, as you remember. Number three, people watching an event, spectators. And for number four, stayed alive, which means survived. So stayed alive means survived. And for number five, only the bones of the body, skeleton. Only the bones of the body means skeleton. Number six, took part in means involved. So this is a verb. Took part in means involved. And for number seven, very old. And this word mentions a lot in your books, as you remember. Ancient. Very old means ancient. It's the opposite of modern. Number eight, cannot be seen means invisible, cannot be seen. And the opposite of it is visible, which means can be seen. Number nine, get better. Get better means recover. And for number 10, expensive and valuable means precious. So expensive and valuable means precious. Now, let's move to something else. Now, I am going to make a quick revision for these two tenses, present passive and past passive. As you remember from your books, we have present passive. The form is, we put verb be plus past participle, and the past participle, we call it verb 3 also. So we have is and are plus past participle. And for past passive, we have was and were plus past participle. Now, if you want to follow me, please open your activity books at page 62, exercise 3. And let's start with this exercise. Now, you should put this verb in the correct passive, either present or past. For example, number one, the telephone, the verb is invent by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. Now, in this sentence, we have a date, and which means that the sentence should be in the past passive, not present. So the verb should be in this form, was and were plus past participle. So the correct answer is was invented. The telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. Now, let's move to the second one. The game of basketball, first think of by James Naismith, a Canadian. Nowadays, basketball play all over the world. So as you see here, this sentence is divided into two halves. The first one is in the past, and the second one is in the present. So the game of basketball, the first answer should be was first thought. So here we have past passive, was, because we are talking about the game of basketball. So it is singular, not plural. It should take was, and first thought. The past participle of the verb think is thought. Thought of by James Naismith, and his nationality is a Canadian. Here, according to this sentence, as if we have two sentences. The first one is in the past, and the second one is in the present, because we have nowadays. So nowadays, basketball is played. Now we move to the present passive, not past passive, because we have nowadays. And basketball is singular, so it should take is. And the past participle of the verb play is played. Now, number 3, a lot of the world's gold still produced in South Africa. So we have still produced. So the answer is still produced. This is a regular verb, like invent. But think is an irregular verb. So a lot of the world's gold is still produced in South Africa. Number 4, penicillin discovered by Alexander Fleming. So in this sentence, we don't have a reference, but the reference is in its meaning, because penicillin, which is a medicine, is an old invention. So we are talking about past passive, not present. The answer should be was discovered. Penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming. And for sentence number 5, in the past, most letters write by hand or type on machines, but nowadays computers use 4 letters. So again, in this sentence, we have 2 halves. The first one, in the past, so it should be in the past. Most letters, but here we have plural, not singular, so it should be were written. The past participle of the verb write is written. So most letters were written by hand or typed. The past participle is typed on machines. But nowadays, here again we have, as if we have a second sentence. It started with nowadays, so we move to the present passive. Computers are used. And again, here we have plural, are used for letters. Number 6, every year a lot of money spent by people sending each other greeting cards. So here we have every year. So it is obvious that we should use present passive. The answer is spent. A lot of money is spent. And money is an uncountable noun, of course. Now let's move to something else. I want to now make a quick revision for these 2 tenses, present perfect and present perfect continuous. And again, I am making a revision. Remember, I am not explaining again. So the present perfect form, we should use have and has plus past participle. So we have and has plus past participle. And again, what's the meaning of past participle? It's the same as we call verb 3. And what are the most important adverbs coming with this tense? We have just, already, since, and for. So we have just, already, since, and for. Now, the second tense is present perfect continuous. We have here, its form is have and has plus been plus the verb plus ing. And remember, when we add ing, this verb should be in its base form or 0 form. Now, the most important adverbs with this tense are recently, all, since, and for. Again, we have recently, all, since, and for. So these are the 2 tenses in these 2 units. And now we have exercise about them. Would you please now open your activity books at page 62, exercise number 5. Now, the question is, circle the correct tense. Now you are going to circle the correct tense in each sentence. Number 1, your eyes are red. Have you cried or been crying? So the result is that his eyes are red. So should we choose cried or been crying? Let's see the answer. Been crying, yes. Have you been crying as a result because the eyes are red? Now, number 2, for the past 3 weeks, I've read or been reading a very sad story. Let's see the answer. Been reading, yes. For the past 3 weeks, I've been reading a very sad story. because this work continues for a while. Now, let's continue with this exercise. Number 3, I am so tired. I have cleaned or been cleaning the house all day. Now remember that here we have all. So what should we choose? The answer is been cleaning. I am so tired. I have been cleaning the house all day. Now, I've just finished, because here we have just, so the answer is finished. So the first one is in the present perfect continuous, and the second one is in the present perfect. Now, for sentence number 4, it's 10 a.m. and you've only just, so again here we have just, woken or been waking up. You must have gone or been going to bed very late last night. So here, because we have just, so the answer is woken and gone. It's 10 a.m. and you've only just woken up. You must have gone to bed very late last night. Number 5, I hope our team wins today. I hope our team wins today. We've practiced or been practicing hard all week. So again, here we have all. So the answer should be been practicing. We've been practicing hard all week. If you see all in the sentence, so you should choose present perfect continuous. And now, I am going to remind you of this important sentence. It's not in this exercise, it's from a previous exercise, but be careful. I've known or been knowing my best friend all my life. The student here, if he sees all here in this sentence, so he is going to choose quickly been knowing. But let's see if the answer is correct. No, here the answer is incorrect. It should be known. Why? Because this verb doesn't come in the ing form. We can say I have been knowing. Okay? So we have some verbs in English which doesn't take the ing form. Like, for example, this verb, we have also love, like, etc. Now, let's move to something else again. Here, I am going to make a quick revision for this rule, which is called question tags. Question tags. And as you remember, if you have a positive statement, or with positive statements, we have negative tags. And with negative statements, we have positive tags. So they are vice versa. And remember that for tags, we have the same auxiliary in the sentence and the same subject pronoun. Now, again, we have an exercise for this rule. Would you please now, activity books at page 62, exercise number 6. Now, the question is, write the correct question tags. Number 1, for example, you aren't going to the shops. What should we write here? Now, look at the sentence. We have the auxiliary are, and it is in the negative form, so it should be in the positive. Aren't becomes are, and the subject is you, so the answer should be are you, as you can see. So number 1, you aren't going to the shops, are you. Number 2, that's our new teacher, that's our new teacher. So here again we have is. This is an auxiliary, and the answer should be isn't it. That is our new teacher, isn't it? And why should we use it here? Because we didn't know him up till now. He is unknown. Number 3, Alexander's parents are both doctors. So here we have again the auxiliary are, and it is in the positive form. Here it should be in the negative. And what about the subject now? Here we don't have a pronoun, so we should use a pronoun instead of Alexander's parents. Parents means father and mother, so the pronoun should be they. And the answer is aren't they, aren't they. Now, for number 4, you've been to Paris and Rome You've been to Paris and Rome. Here we have this auxiliary, which is have. So the answer should be haven't you. Haven't you. Number 5, that couldn't possibly be true. The answer is could it, because here we have couldn't in the negative form, and here it should be in the positive form. Number 6 now, it takes a long time to fly to Australia. So here, look at this sentence. Can you find an auxiliary here? Of course not. So what should we do? We should add the auxiliary do, and do takes this S, so it becomes doesn't it, because the sentence is positive. Here the negative, the question tag should be negative. So the answer is doesn't it. And for number 7, most students in Britain have lunch at school. Here again, look at this picture. Do we have an auxiliary here? Here, have is not an auxiliary, it is a main verb. So it shouldn't be haven't here, it should be don't they. Again, be careful because this sentence, here we have the verb have, but it is not an auxiliary here, it is a main verb. So we should add also the verb do, and here it is positive, here it becomes negative, and instead of students, we have the pronoun they. And for number 8, I can sit here. I can sit here. We have the verb can here, and the answer should be can't I. Can't I. Here it is positive. Here it becomes negative, and the pronoun is I. Now, let's move to this rule, which is reported speech. And we mentioned it before in the beginning of the book. We use it to report what someone says or said, as remember. And in reported speech, we, number 1, use verb said or told. Number 2, change the pronoun. We should change the pronoun. Number 3, change the verb, which means the tense. So we should change the verb, i.e. the tense. If it is in the present, it becomes in the past. And we have some time and place references change also. Like, for example, the word today, it becomes that day in reported speech. The word tomorrow becomes the next or the following day. Next week or next month becomes the following week or the following month. And if we have this for time, it becomes that. If we have this or that as adjectives, they become the. And if we have the word here, it becomes there. So again, I want to remind you of this rule. If we have a reported speech in the sentence, we should use verb said or told. This is the first step. Number 2, change the pronoun. Number 3, change the verb, which means the tense. Now, some time and place references change, like today becomes that day, tomorrow, the next or the following day, next week or month becomes the following week or month. This for time, like for example, this week or this morning becomes that. And this or that as adjective, like for example, this shirt or this blouse becomes the. And if we have here, it should be there. Okay, now we have again an exercise in your activity books at page 65, and it is exercise number 3. Report the following sentences. So each sentence should be in reported speech. Like for example, number 1, I am going shopping this afternoon. I am going shopping this afternoon. Here, the sentence starts with she said. So be careful now to the steps. She said that, and that is optional. You can put it or not. Now, we change the pronoun. This is the first step. I becomes she because the pronoun is she. So she said that she. Now the verb am becomes was because we changed the tense. This is the second or third step. So the first one is using the verb said, then change the pronoun, then change the verb. She said that she was going shopping, and here we have this afternoon, it becomes that afternoon. Okay? So the whole sentence again, I am going shopping this afternoon, it should become, she said that she was going shopping that afternoon. Now, for number 2, I live here. I live here. He said that he lived there. So again, what are the steps? We use the verb said, this is number 1. Then we change the pronoun. I becomes he. And then we change the verb or the tense. Live becomes lived. Here becomes there. These are the steps of reported speech. So again, the whole sentence is, I live here becomes, he said that he lived there. Now, for this sentence, number 3, next week is the beginning of the summer holidays. I am really excited. Now, again, we have he said. So the first step is using the verb said. Then we have that, which is optional, as I told you before. Now, next week becomes the following week. Is becomes was, because we are going to change the verb. So, he said that the following week was the beginning of the summer holidays. Now we have a second sentence here, as if we have a second sentence. I am really excited becomes he was really excited, because you should change all the verbs in the sentence, not only the first one. And be careful if you have to, after 2, we don't change the verb. Now, I really like this shirt. She told me. Here we use the verb told, not said, okay? Because we are going to meet here 2 people. She told me that she really liked the shirt. Here, this becomes the, because this is an adjective. So I really like this shirt. She told me that she really liked the shirt. And for sentence number 5, tomorrow we are starting a new project. Tomorrow we're starting a new project. The teacher told us. Again, here we have the verb told, not said. The teacher told us, and look that here after the verb told we have object pronouns like me, us, etc. The teacher told us that the next day, this is instead of tomorrow, so tomorrow becomes the next day. Now, instead of we use they. And instead of are, we use were. So that the next day they were starting a new project. So again, number 5, tomorrow we're starting a new project. It becomes, the teacher told us that the next day they were starting a new project. This is reported speech. And again, I want to remind you that I am making only a quick revision. I am not explaining. And as you can see here, this is the end of today's lesson. Thank you so much, and I hope you get the benefit. Enjoy your